And life is meant to be a happy, to be a joy, to appreciate the little things as well as the big things, to appreciate one another, to be givers, to be lovers of life. I say to you that if you're driven by anything other than your love, than your spirit, and your desire to contribute, your desire to grow and expand, if you're driven by your need to please others, if you're driven by your fear, if you're driven by your past, maybe it's time to free yourself. And the way to do it is decide. Decide consciously what you want your life to be about. Decide consciously what's the purpose of your life. Something simple. Something you can live every single day. I think that when I look at people's lives and I see the people who are having so much difficulty, I think the number one reason why people fail to experience joy in life, experience life as a win, is not because their life isn't a win, because the win can be just reaching out and touching somebody around you. The win can be just telling somebody that you love them. The win can be taking care of your body, God's temple. The win can be stopping and feeling grateful. The win can be anywhere. You don't have to land on the moon to have the win, and you can enjoy landing on the moon too. But how much better to enjoy the process? Because we're going to spend most of our life in process towards the achievement of goals. And I'm not saying don't go do things, and I'm not saying don't have grand schemes and dreams, and I'm not saying don't do those, because our lives are better because people have dreamed huge dreams and they've made them happen. But I'm saying don't do it at the expense of not appreciating what's true along the way. And
I think in many ways, self-love is the starting point to world class. And you've never heard me say that before, but the way you are in the world is a deep reflection of the way you are with yourself. Your prosperity and your income is always a reflection of your self-identity. Your daily behavior is always a reflection of your deepest beliefs. You're not going to go out in the world and represent your highest creativity, productivity, and mastery if you hate yourself. You're not going to be kind to people on the street, smile at strangers, uplift a teammate, wow a customer, if you're full of hatred about who you truly are. And I think this is one of the missed ideas and one of the missed truths in the world today. The doorway to success really does open inward. It doesn't open outward. And I've seen so many people, even some of the people I coach, these people, they learn the intellectual ideas to build an empire. And I also teach them how they multiply productivity. And I also teach them how do you scale your fortunes and build a life of joy, peace, beauty, and freedom. And yet some of them, here's what they do. They tear it all down. We get to these amazing results through our coaching together, and they hit an inflection point where they start to self-sabotage. Maybe they start to drink too much. Maybe they start to be rude to the people on their team. Maybe they start to pick fights with their significant other. Maybe they start to get too distracted by digital media, and they start to tear it all down. It is a huge act of self-sabotage, and I've seen it for so many years working with the best of the best. Why does that happen? Well, it happens because you will never rise any higher than the way you see yourself on the outside. If you don't feel you are deserving of beauty, prosperity, acclaim, fame, fortune, impact on society, if you don't really feel you deserve it, because you feel like you're not enough, you really don't like yourself, you're suffering from what psychologists call imposter syndrome, then you're going to read the books, you're going to watch these mastery sessions, you're going to go to the courses, you're going to do the work, but you are going to reach a point where your mindset becomes in conflict with your heart set. If you don't know, think about this idea of self-sabotage, and it all comes from a lack of self-love. If as a child, you didn't receive appreciation from your parents, if as a child, you might have received physical love or physical caring, but that heart set need, that need for love and appreciation, that need for human validation. If you didn't get that from your parents, or you didn't get that from your teachers, or you didn't get that from your early influences, well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be suffering, and I use the word intentionally, you're going to be suffering from these heart set wounds of neglect, emotional neglect. And you're not going to like yourself very much. And especially in this culture of comparison, those wounds are going to be activated every single day. You're going to walk out in the world and you're going to look at your device and you're going to see all these people showing you a highlight reel of the lives they want you to think they're living. What is the point I'm suggesting to you? Everything begins within. If you don't love yourself, then you're going to go out into the world. And in this culture of showbiz, this culture of bling, this culture of comparison, this culture of social media gratification, you're going to get activated. You're going to get pinged. Those ancient wounds are going to get touched on every single day, and you're just going to be miserable. And so
wherever I go, I talk about the value of life. I talk about anti-bullying messages for the school systems in different nations. The greatest thing is love. When we feel like we don't have enough love and we don't have enough hope, we start losing strength to live. For me, in my life as a child, I had a big wall. I was surrounded by 4 walls and a low ceiling of opportunity. I was set free in so many different ways, and especially surviving from day to day with my parents who loved me, who encouraged me, who told me that I was beautiful the way that I was, and not to worry about what other people said about me. And the world is a hurting place, and the world needs hope, and the world needs love. Without hope, I feel like, why are we here? Well, brokenness. Here's mine. Today, I still have no arms, no legs, but everything's changed. Everything. For me, I was looking for hope and happiness, and I couldn't see it for many years. In fact, if this side of the table represents my hope, truth encourages me to become all that I can be. But then we have lies every day coming in our mind, people who discourage us. You know the people that you have in your life who, no matter how good of a day you're having, they'll bring you down. Or no matter how bad of a day you're having, they'll bring you even lower. You know what I'm talking about? Think of the 3 biggest discouragers in your life. They're not your biggest discouragers. You are. You are. It only takes 3 seconds for me to tell you something discouraging. But then you may never forget my words. I've met so many 50-year-old women and 40-year-old women who still remember what their fathers told them that they wish they never heard. Words are powerful. When you hear those words and then your mind starts growing with these lies. Nick, you're not good enough. Nick, just give up. Nick, you're never going to get a job. You won't get married. You can't even hold your wife's hand. What kind of a father are you going to be if you can't even pick up your kids when they're crying? You're alone. Sure, your parents hug you, but their hugs can't heal you. Just give up. 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 At age 8, I thought that I should commit suicide. Why? Because I didn't have hope. I thought I didn't have hope. Today you can see that I had hope. What's the word? Believing in something you do not see. Faith. Words can only do so much. Hugs can do much more than words. But when hugs can't do anything, that's where faith kicks in. For me, words and hugs were not enough, but I had no faith. So I tried to give up. At age 10, I tried to drown myself in 6 inches or 15 centimeters of water. In my home, I told my dad I just wanted to relax. Really, I wanted to end my life. I had enough. Dosta mi envio. Okay. The first 2 times I rolled over, I was trying to work out how much air I hold in my lungs before I let it out. The third time, in my mind, knowing that I wanted to get out of here because of the bullying in my life, because I was going to be a burden to my parents and I had nothing to look forward to, I realized at that moment that if I actually went through with committing suicide, I would leave a greater burden for my parents than they already had. So there was one thing less hopeful or more burdensome than having a child without limbs. What is it? A child without limbs who gives up. So when I saw in my mind my mom and my dad and my brother crying at my grave if I went through with it, that one thought saved me. If my parents never told me that I was beautiful the way that I was, if my parents ever told me that I was special and that I was loved, I wouldn't be here today. So I encourage every single parent who tries their best to encourage their teenagers. Every single human being has value, and my value is not determined on how I look or what job I have or where I'm from, where I was born, how much money, all that stuff is nothing. Whatever you want, it's not enough until you find the truth. I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. There's a greater purpose for my life. I am here for a reason.